Hey guys, thanks for joining another CloudTask Skillbridge. As you know, let's get started. Let's go straight into the profile. I'm going to share screens and let you guys know what's needed in order to get activated and what's needed to get top rated. Let's check it out right now. All right. So what is needed in order to be activated, guys? So just like you would when you create let's say it's a personal social media, right? Let's say Instagram, Facebook, or let's say LinkedIn. Typically we start off with a profile picture. The more professional, the better. So let's check out. We have Chevelle, we have Andres, we have Ash. All right. So the pictures have been getting a lot better, right? We used to get, individuals in a graduation, family gathering. It's best quick headshot, professional. If you're using AI, that's even better. Now let's check it out. Now the title, let's zoom in. So 5 years of experience in customer support and business administration. Okay, that's not bad. Customer care representative, 18 years, English and Spanish, medical consecutive interpreter, 1 year, medical assistance and administrative coordinator. So what can be improved for Claudio would be not just mentioning the role, but actually mentioning what type of technology you've used. If there's some type of success story you can actually place in that title, it's going to look better. Let's see. We have Tiana, customer support and B2B operations specialist, CRM, soft sales and scheduling, SMB, SME, and LATAM clients. All right, they keep getting better. So guys, the more impacting your title, the better. Think of it as a subject line, right? You won't open an email if the subject line does not relate, if it's somewhat relevant, either on a personal side or on a professional side. So we have Xavier, 1.5 years of sales experience, utilizing both HubSpot and GHL as both a sales development rep and full sales cycle rep. Okay, now he has a top rated badge. What is a top rated as opposed to an activation? So as an activated candidate in the marketplace, you guys can go ahead and have an active profile. You guys will be able to be visible for hiring companies, right? But if you have a top rated badge or top rated plus, you guys will be able to apply directly to these opportunities. So if you don't have a top rated badge, make sure you're reaching out to someone on the team so we can, check out your profile and see if you've updated it so we can get you that top rated badge. So let's see, now we can check it out. The About Me section. Guys, the About Me section, now that, we've clicked on it, we can see my name is Xavier. I'm an attorney at law who transitioned into sales. So giving a story instead of a bunch of bullet points is always going to be a benefit. If you're only leaving one sentence or two in the About Me section, you should give it some more effort, right? Because others are giving a lot more effort than a sentence or two. And right now the competition is pretty fierce. So make sure you guys are giving a good About Me section. Should tell a story. Your monthly rate. I highly recommend that you guys give a range. Most of you guys have experience in different roles. Some have been entry level, mid-level, senior level. But again, if you guys place yourself in a range, you're in a better position for the competition at hand, right? So make sure that you guys place a range. If you're set on just one amount, you have that option within the profile when you're actually creating it. So monthly rate, we have the About Me section. Now moving on to your work experience. If you don't list any work experience, guys, you're not getting activated. With, adding at least one work experience is enough, but I recommend that you list the most relevant experience because again, at the end of the day, companies are looking at your video while checking out your CV, right? Or your work experience, your digital resume. So make sure you guys list out exactly like Xavier, prospecting and lead generation, research and identify new B2B prospects in the cannabis and hemp retail space. So my man's being specific on the industry, the vertical, what exactly he was having to do, cold outreach, conduct daily cold calls, right? Overcoming objections. So this is really well done. This is a great example for you guys to follow. So don't just put one or two sentences, right? As we mentioned for the About Me section, give some more effort on the work experience so you don't get bombarded with a bunch of questions on your interview, right? Let's move forward. So another sales representative role, customer success. So well done, well done. So besides adding work experience, guys, be specific. Be specific, share numbers, percentages. That's really what hiring leaders are checking out. Now, the video. We don't have to watch Xavier's video right now entirely, but I'm going to open it up and we'll at least get a sense of how was Xavier dressed. All right. So
Hi,
I see a dress shirt. Not too many things going on in the back, right? Sometimes we have to be very cautious that we are looking for a remote position. Companies are going to know or feel, hey, is this individual going to represent my company, either with current customers or when reaching out for potential customers, if they're in a marketing call, right? So regardless the role, how are they going to represent my brand? So the video, guys, is very important. Make sure that, you don't have your kids running in the back. If don't do it in the kitchen, in the car, right? So there's specific places where you should try and make this video. I know some of you guys are looking for a job quickly, but it's better to go slower, right? And for it to look a lot more, like you put effort into it, right? Doing it from the car, I would say, is a no-go. So Xavier as well, head and shoulders are in frame. Make sure you guys don't do it selfie mode. If you have to do it off of your phone, flip it horizontally. That way, again, your head and shoulders are in frame. If you have to, use some light hand movements, it'll look professional, and that's it. But think about that. Make sure if you guys are going to do it off of your phone, flip it so it's horizontal. And then
name is
the sound quality should be good. Not all of you are using mics or headsets. No need. But again, listen to the video and then publish it. It should be about 1 minute to 2 minutes. Xavier went almost to the 4-minute mark. Again, this is completely up to you guys because you guys are free agents. We recommend 1 minute to 2 tops. All right. So in order to get activated, guys, you need a professional headshot, right? Professional picture, professional profile picture. You need a good title, impacting title. Don't just put sales development rep, right? They'll see that in the work experience. Make sure that you add your work experience, at least one, be as specific as possible, and make sure you make a video where you don't mention your last name. You don't give any contact details like email or phone number because you'll have to retake the video. And then make sure that it's, even if it's your 3rd take, 4th take, 5th take, or your 1st take, you're coming across confidently. And if you're not coming across confidently, give it another shot. With that being said, that's what you need in order to be activated. Now, in order to be a top rated, English level. So if your English level is below a B2 advanced, you're going to have a harder chance of getting that top rated badge. So B2s and up, B2s, C1s, and C2s, definitely are in that space to getting that top rated badge. Work experience. So if you have less than a year of SDR, BDR, customer success, community manager, account executive, personal assistant, right? It's less than a year. It's not impossible. It just means that your English level should be higher, right? So keep that in mind. So in order for that top rated badge, video has to, be a outstanding video where you're literally expressing your experience in a very clear and concise way. You're dressed professionally. What else can I tell you? So the title needs to be impacting as well, right? So top rated, you're held, to a higher standard. And again, the ability that you get with the top rated badge is to be able to apply directly. And that's it. So those are the 2 differences: activation, top rated. All right. So let me stop sharing screens and we will go into, a quick demonstration of a good interview, right? If you guys have tuned in the previous calls, we have been sharing an interview by Solomon. Let me start sharing screens now and make sure we are sharing computer sound. And all right. See where it is. Too many tabs opened in. There we go. So going straight into it, we will right after the call, we'll give a few feedback points as far as do's and don'ts. We'll see what Solomon did as far as do's and don'ts, and yeah, we'll diagnose the video.
How's it going?
Hey, Jacob. How are you?
Doing good. How you doing?
Doing good, man.
Good. I think Jonas will be joining us here in just a second. I think he's back to back right now, so I'll give him just a couple minutes to hop in, and then we can do some more formal introductions, just so that you don't have to repeat yourself or anything like that.
Cool. Sounds good. No problem, man.
Awesome. Did you have a good weekend?
Yeah, man. It's always too short, isn't it?
Yeah, very much so. It was nice out this weekend too. So
Yeah. Where are you based out of?
Indianapolis.
Oh, cool, man. Nice.
It's all right. What about you?
A big Colts fan or a Pacers fan?
So I don't watch much basketball, but I do root for the Pacers. And then for football, I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. But I appreciate the Colts. They're having a good year and all that stuff. So I've seen the Colts fan base just be punished for like 10 years. So I'm like, not the worst thing to see them have an okay year.
Definitely not. No, yeah, I haven't watched the Colts. Oh, I'm gonna date myself. Peyton Manning and Marvin Harrison. That was last.
So that's just a little bit of chit chat. And again, it's always a good thing when you get there early, right? And the person interviewing you joins a little bit late. And especially if there's a second person interviewing you, right? Typically, it is that one person that will interview you guys first. In this case, there's actually two individuals. As you saw, Jacob joined before Jonas. And now they're just, being able to break some ice, having a little bit of chit chat before. And Jonas is soon to join. All right, let's continue.
Last time I watched the Colts.
Yeah, it's been a minute since they were good, but they're doing good this season. We'll see. I know the Colts will find a way to mess it up.
That's what people say about the Rams too. So
we ping Jonas here and just make sure he's gonna be able to make it.
Sure.
Hi.
Hey, Jonas, how are you?
Good. I'm extremely sorry. It seems like I ended up, as you, Jacob, in a HubSpot hole.
Happens to the best of us.
That's okay, no problem. Appreciate you guys joining me today.
I was telling Salman that we would hang off on the formal introductions until you were here, just so we didn't have to repeat each other, or ourselves. But yeah, my name's Jacob. It's great to meet you. I oversee the AE team here, and I wear a few other hats too, so I'm pretty integrated into the work life of Flash Intel, if you will. So it's great to meet you. And then we have Jonas here, and I'll let him run through a quick intro of himself as well.
Yep, I'm Jonas. I'm the VP of Revenue, so I'm trying to have control over most things that bring some income to the company. Where CSM, of course, is one important part to retain and keep customers happy and do some upsell, right?
Yep, absolutely. Appreciate the intros. So I'm Salman. I'm a customer success manager. I've got about 5 years experience in SaaS as a CSM. And prior to that, I spent about 3 years as an SDR, business development rep, working in SaaS sales in San Francisco. So I got kind of a hybrid background between sales and post-sales as well.
Walk me through a little bit of that just real quick while we're talking about it. Salman, what software were you selling as a CSM and or as a BDR?
Sure. So as a BDR, I started out at a small startup called Building Connected. It was construction-focused software. They were eventually acquired by Autodesk. I then moved into an SDR role at On24. They are a webinar marketing platform. So we were highly focused on selling to marketers and training departments who were building and enable departments that were building out training materials for their internal teams. And that was actually where I got my first exposure to account management. The account rep that I was working with was focused on working with existing customers to find new business units. So I spent about 6 months of my time there really focused on existing customers. And that was my first exposure to the account management, customer success side of things. Really enjoyed that. I then moved on to another SDR role at Schedulo. This was pre-pandemic. And then I was moving out of the Bay Area, and they were not going to accommodate remote work. So that's why I left that role. And then I started in customer success in January of 2020 and have been in customer success since then. So not sure if you have my resume, but I spent about 3 years at My Do Good, which was a platform where we facilitated sales meetings and gave charity donations in exchange for those meetings. So we had a list or a network of qualified IT individuals who would take vendor meetings, and in exchange for those meetings, we would make a donation to their charity of choice. And then after that, I spent a year and a half at Commvault, big data backup and security company. Was there for a year and a half, managed enterprise customers, mid-market. SMB was largely covered by our digital team. So I was largely focused on mid-market and enterprise, had a $7 million portfolio, hit 110% of quota retention quarter over quarter there. And then most recently, I moved over to an independent contractor position at 8020 REI. They're a real estate data focused company. And so now I'm looking for my next role, and CloudTask reached out about this opportunity, and that's how we got here.
Awesome.
All right. So I'll make a quick parenthesis there. So besides, not having to tell Solomon, hey, can you introduce yourself? After Jonas and Jacob introduced themselves, he immediately went into it, right? If you guys noticed, he's being very specific in his explanations as far as his experience. So the verticals, the industries, I heard 7 million, 110% retention, right, in the first quarter. He also mentioned that he was working a campaign where they were offering donations in exchange for vendor appointments, right? So if you accepted a meeting with me, you can choose the charity of your choice, for us to make that donation on your behalf. That's going to be key in a few seconds. Jacob really liked that idea. And again, if someone that's interviewing you notices that you're doing something in your previous work that's something that relates to what they can potentially do in this new job, that's always going to be great. So I really want to highlight that, guys. Don't be general on your video. Don't be general on your work experience. And then on an interview, that's the last place where you should be general, right? Because they're going to keep asking you, and it's going to turn into a 20-40 questionnaire instead of 1 to 6 questions where you can actually open up and give specific answers, right? So again, want to highlight the fact that, Solomon's able to express all of those previous work experiences, right? He's probably got really good memory, right? Because he was able to mention, when he started working there, what product and service they were, a little highlight about them. If it was a company where there was a specific success story, he's highlighting that, right? I know you all heard 7 million, 110% retention, right? So make sure that you guys are being specific on that. So yeah, just wanted to mention that. He was there early. They were able to chit chat, break the ice. Jonas got there a little bit late. They introduced themselves. He didn't need an invitation to be introduced. He immediately went into it. Shows that he's held a room before. It's not his first time, to the rodeo. And then again, the way that he's expressing his previous work experience, it was very well done. So hope everyone's taking note. And yeah, let's keep going into the video.
Okay.
I appreciate that. Real quick, I'm just going to send our meeting bot. I was about to tell my meeting bot something, and then it wasn't here. So I'm just going to send it in here real quick because I just noticed that.
The new form of taking notes.
Yeah, no, 100%. I was.
Yeah.
I know you obviously haven't seen our system, but part of our system is our meeting bot. So we have a meeting bot that's integrated into our sales system. So I can come in later and talk to it and have it do all kinds of crazy cool stuff. However, I wanted it to note, and here it is, to talk to Jonas about NGOs and offering funding or donations for conversations. I love that idea. So yeah, just throwing that out there. But yeah, no, I appreciate that insight, Solomon. That gives me a good scope of your work history. And then how'd you meet CloudTask? What brought you to these guys, and how'd you start working with them?
So I actually live in Medellin, Colombia, and so that's how I found CloudTask. They were a network where it was really helpful for me when I'm looking for roles out here. Obviously, with the work from anywhere trend now, it helpful to have agencies like this. So that's how I found CloudTask. I found Dave on LinkedIn. I found Amir on LinkedIn, and have just been following those guys closely. I made my profile probably over a year ago, and then I've just been keeping track of them since then. I was previously employed, so I wasn't actively interviewing, but now looking to get back into the swing of things. And so this was the first conversation that CloudTask has kind of set up for me.
Awesome. I love that. And then walk me through a little bit about what you know about us, just kind of in your pre-interview research.
Yeah, so what I know about Flash Lab so far is you guys have two main products, it seems, to be Flash Rev and Flash AI. First, I want to make sure I'm on the right page with both of those. Those are kind of the primary targets. So in terms of Flash Rev, my understanding so far is it operates pretty similarly to how 6sense operate. It provides buyer data and sales intent data for sales team to use and how to target individuals. And then you have Flash AI, which is agentic AI basically to do the outreach. That's kind of my understanding.
Yeah. Holistically, yeah. When we put it really simple, you could think, are you familiar with Clay?
Yes, I've heard of Clay as well. Yes.
Think of if Clay had outreach tools built into it, like Orem, Nooks, Chili Piper, and various other things, with AI helping too. So our goal is really for companies to need one sales tool, and that's us. You don't need 10, right? You don't need to go spend $2,000 per rep to equip them with 10 tools. We're the solution for that. So really sophisticated platform, dude. It's a fun thing to sell. It's a fun company to be a part of. And that being said, we want to make sure we're keeping our customers happy, which is where you come into play. So walk me through. You had mentioned obviously some BDR work, and that.
So before Jacob, goes into his next question, wanted to make a quick parenthesis. So the research part, guys. So some of you either are self-sabotaging yourselves, thinking that you have to become a subject matter expert before you get on these interviews. And then some of you are not researching absolutely anything, right? So there's two. We have to meet in the middle where you do the research enough where you understand the product. Maybe it's a product. Is it a service? How many products do they have? Guess where you'll find that? On the website. So as you saw, Solomon clearly had the company website open while he's on the interview. You can see his eyes go left and right while he's reading the products. And he even asked to get confirmation. Hey, just want to make sure it is labs something and something else, right? So he mentions the product. Jacob says, yeah, you're right. So, and he continues, right? So I'm pretty sure Solomon did some research before jumping on this call, but I'm sure that it was literally 5 minutes, right? And he said, hey, you know what? I'm going to have the company website open on another screen while I have the interview because it makes me feel more comfortable. I think that was done very well. If you guys don't have the company website open while you're on the interview, that's fine. But make sure you guys at least can answer the question if they ask, what is it that we do? What jumped to your attention about our company, right? You guys are in software. That's going to be a weak answer, right? So make sure you do some research. Don't overwhelm yourself. You don't have to become a subject matter expert, but be prepared for a question like that. It is the first time I hear someone ask, how did you hear about CloudTask? Again, he was able to express how he found out about us. But again, anything's possible on an interview, but there are some specific questions we've noticed, right? Which is, tell me a little bit about yourself. They keep it open and vague, so that way you can be specific. Then what usually comes up is, what do you know about us, right? Are you an individual that, goes above and beyond, or are you literally just trying to get a job anywhere and you don't even know anything about us, right? So keep in mind, you guys have to do some research. And again, well done on Solomon's side, being able to keep that audience and then ask a question. And then Jacob was also able to explain even more, right? Hey, yeah, holistically, that is what we do. In a nutshell, that's what we do. Have you heard of Clay? Well, think about Clay, but with these type of tools. So he's going again and explaining a little bit more about what the company does. That's also a good tell when a company is sharing a little bit more about what they do. All right, so let's continue the interview.
BDR work is actually interesting to me, being that we sell a marketing and sales tool. We help people source meetings, book business, whatever. So walk me through kind of what your scope was, your day-to-day in those BDR roles.
Sure. Going back a while. So when I was a BDR, cold calling, all of my roles, none of them were inbound roles. So I was responsible for outbound cold calling, prospecting, working with my account executive to make sure not just that I'm targeting the right list, but that within that list, we're targeting the right companies. So I've had some AEs who are saying, hey, my bread and butter is the healthcare space. That's who I want to go after. Let's prioritize healthcare systems and hospital systems to go after. Boom. If I'm on the same page with him, that makes my life easier. I hit quota, he hits his closed revenue goals, and we're all happy. And other roles, as I mentioned at On24, I was very focused on the account expansion piece. So working with existing business units. So those conversations were different. They were still cold outreach in the sense that I was reaching people for the first time. However, a lot of those came with internal referrals where I could name drop and say, hey, so-and-so is already using this. We've already passed your procurement process. We're an approved vendor. We have a use case that is specifically for enablement, specifically for trainings and webinars. Can we have a conversation? And so that's how a lot of those conversations went, where it was focused on just kind of using the warm lead to get a foot in the door and then allowing my account manager to go in and close the sale. And then after that, when I was at Schedulo, that was back to a purely outbound role. Everything was cold calling and prospecting. So typically 50 to 60 dials per day, cold emails, LinkedIn prospecting, exactly what you would expect from an SDR.
No, I appreciate that. And so my next question kind of piggybacks off of that. What made you want to commit to the CSM role over the account executive role? Obviously, there's a lot of similarities between those two, being that you've already kind of mastered the outreach side of it. What made you choose the CSM route?
I really enjoyed the aspect of, I guess in the SDR role, you're either hunting or farming. I really resonated with the farmer role of being in there, getting in the weeds with a specific client, learning the different business units, saying, okay, once I know the product well enough, I can recommend, hey, you can use this in this manner. You can use this in this manner. And also with the sales background, I'm not afraid to have those more revenue focused conversations where it's not that I'm doing the sale itself, but to at least get the floodgates open, provide resources, answer some initial questions for them. That can go a long way for an account executive and warming the deal up. And so for me, I really excelled at that. And throughout my time in customer success, I just keep doubling down because I enjoy it. It's very different than the account executive SDR role where it's really fast paced. You're just having an initial conversation and then you hand it over to the AE, and then you have a conversation and you hand it over to the AE. For me, that was very hands off, and I prefer to be more involved and get to know how the business works. It's also a great learning opportunity for me to learn different industries and different characters and what their priorities are, and then frame what I'm saying accordingly.
I appreciate that.
Right.
Could you walk me through an example where a customer account of yours, maybe they were having a technical issue, maybe a technical issue to the degree that like even more technical than you were able to resolve for them immediately? What's your process for that? How did you handle it and get those guys back onto a track for success?
There's one particular client that I think of when I was at Commvault. This was a huge logo that had recently signed with us. They had paid for professional services for their onboarding experience, not to shoot someone in the leg, but professional services did not handle that the way they needed to. The onboarding was not fully successful. There were a lot of problems that led to, I'm talking 15, 20 support tickets in the first 2 weeks they were with us, trying to get a resolution to things. And so I was brought in as the CSM to take over that onboarding experience, facilitate the resources on our side, provide weekly updates to their leadership team. This went all the way up to the C-suite on our side. We had a chief customer officer who was involved in meetings to provide regular updates to the client. And so we kind of took a phased approach. The first thing was evaluating what the major issues were, how we can resolve the support tickets, and what blockers were preventing us from a successful implementation. Once we were able to work through a lot of that, we were able to consolidate the 15, 20 tickets into like 3 key issues that were then escalated to support management, saying we need to address these. These need to be addressed by the end of the week. And I escalated to my manager. I went above my manager to the director of customer success to make sure everyone had eyes on it. And so that was step 1, was just creating a plan. After that, we then held weekly meetings where we would review what current blockers there are, what progress has been made on the existing implementation. And then I would work with their technical and implementation team to coordinate 2 to 3 additional calls per week with our technical team outside of support so that we could move forward with the implementation. So this would be making sure they had all the prerequisites set up. It was a very complex product to implement. So you needed networking requirements, you needed API requirements to get everything set up. So I was coordinating technical resources for there. I would then provide email updates to our chief customer officer and our director of customer success so that they were in the loop of what progress was being made, what blockers there still were, and what still needed to be implemented. Ultimately, this whole process took about 60 days to get everything resolved. With weekly meetings, we were able to successfully get everything implemented and tested. That was the big thing, is besides the implementation, we had to go through a testing phase to make sure everything worked. This was a huge logo. It was a key priority for us. And so we were able to do all that. This was all technically outside of the scope of what I was supposed to do as a CSM, because I'm largely responsible for just monthly engagement calls or quarterly engagement calls, and then driving new opportunities. But in terms of working in the weeds with them through the implementation, this was an extra responsibility because it did not go well with professional services. And so our company felt, hey, the CSM can lead this and try to right the ship here. And I was able to do that. So that was a big accomplishment for me. Huge logo. I wish I could tell you. I know you guys would recognize it, but gotta stay quiet.
No, I appreciate that insight. And
all right. So quick parentheses as well. So this piece is where Jacob basically took over and started mentioning and asking more questions, right? So the first one I heard was, walk me through your SDR, BDR role, right? So he wanted to hear from the very beginning. And as well, since Jacob is the sales manager, SDR manager, that jumped to his attention. Secondly, he said, why did you take this CSM route instead of the account executive route, right? And then thirdly, the last question we just heard was, what type of situation, technical issue did you have as a customer success manager? How did you escalate it? If you weren't able to resolve it, how did you go around? So with those three questions, something that just keeps, jumping at me from Solomon's interaction is specific, right? His ability to be specific and answer those questions is key. I haven't heard Jacob have to ask another question to elaborate based off of the first one, right? Oh, he didn't give me enough. Let me ask him another question. That's not coming across at all because he's able to be very specific. And again, it's allowing this interview to flow very well. And yeah, it was a very positive interview, right? Second round interview was already placed. So again, this is what to expect. Now, there are some questions that don't come up on this interview that might come up, right? So, what is your compensation plan? What are you looking to make? We've always recommended that on your first interview, there isn't really, a point of asking or trying to negotiate a base or commission structure. You should be invited to that second interview. Maybe there's an assignment. Make sure you do that assignment very well. You submit that in. Second interview might be a better time to negotiate or try and bring up the fact of what does that base look like, so you can have a better idea. But on that first interview, if you are asked what's that comp plan you're looking for, you should have a good answer, right? So again, the questions that Jacob are asking, typical questions within an interview, but the way that Solomon is answering, he's being very specific. Once again, as far as industries, products, KPIs, right? I keep hearing numbers. For that last question about how he was able to get that resolved, I think he said there was a 60-day plan, right? So again, he's tying it back with time. And that's something you guys should also do. All right. So we're gonna finalize the call. They're gonna wrap it up. They're basically gonna share some more information about what it is they do, and that's it. So a few more minutes on the interview, and we'll move forward.
And Joe,
He puts upsell.
can schedule meetings for yourself and close those and get business within, whether it's Colombia or California, whichever one. That's a really easy way for us to introduce you to our system, get you trained up, build a little book of business, and then you can just start managing the book of business and others' book of business as we transfer you into that CSM role. the same thing we kind of do with the AEs on the team. I start them as an SDR before they go AE, just so they can get familiar with the platform. So it's kind of that same thing, just obviously a little bit more designed for the AE role. The platform is a lot. I mean, it requires some marketing knowledge, some sales knowledge, some API coding knowledge, right? Like there's a little bit of everything. And I think you have some experience in it all, but there's a fair amount of technical like aspects, like setting up domain, marketing domains for customers as a part of our service, and like all this different stuff that I just want to make sure that you're familiar with before we feed you to the fish, so to speak, of our customers who we love, but they can be very demanding sometimes.
As part of the CSM role is dealing with challenging customers, being able to manage different personality types. And hey, I've been on calls and I've just been sat there getting screamed at. I'm like, none of this is my fault. Just scream it out. You'll feel better. You'll feel better once it's done. I'll go to support and I'll scream at them for you. But yeah,
we have one customer, they'll come in and they'll be like, everything's on fire. Everything's on fire.
All right. So finalizing there, guys, as you saw, the call went quite well. They're already, making jokes. They're already mentioning, hey, I want to make sure you have this experience before we throw you in there. So he's already being considered, part of the team. Like I said, second round interview was scheduled, and yeah, look, it's looking promising, right? So now let's move on to the do's and don'ts, right? So there's do's and don'ts within interviews. There's probably thousands, but we're gonna hit a few. The first do's, right? Do's. So let's make sure we're there on the interview early, right? Early means if it's at 11 a.m., you guys are gonna join at 10:45, 10:50. You're gonna give yourself a 10-minute window just in case your computer, the charger wasn't there, it wasn't handy, you forgot it in your put bag. It happens, right? And it dies. Your computer dies while it's 11, it's 10:59. It's not going to look good, right? So make sure that you guys join 10 minutes early. That means that you're on time. All right. What other do's? Make sure you do some research. If you guys are not researching the company, you guys aren't going above and beyond, and that's gonna be noticed on these interviews when they ask you, what do you know about us, right? Very few times have I had candidates ask me, may I have the name of the person that's going to interview me, right? That means you'll be able to check out their LinkedIn, maybe see what type of role. Hey, what's their role, right? Rarely do, Blue or Arturo or I get asked, hey, what role are they in? What's their name? How many people are going to be on the interview, right? So make sure you guys are being curious. As far as research, the company, maybe you guys are like me. If I watch a video about a company, I feel a lot more comfortable about what it is they do. So check out a quick video, but definitely do some research. Do some research, guys. Don't go into this blindly, because the question 9 out of 10 does come up. What do you know about us, right? What else should we do? We should have 1 or 2 impacting questions. So Salman didn't really have to ask questions just because he was expressing himself so well that he was showing his previous experience, right? But with these questions, these impacting questions, they're meant to showcase your curiosity, but also give you the ability to express, right? After you ask a question like, hey, who is your current, ICP? Oh, we're looking for property managers, right? If you get that answer, it's going to allow you to either emphasize how you do have experience there, or you're going to be able to, go on to your next question. But make sure you guys have impacting questions. Impacting questions, I wouldn't consider how many PTOs do I get, right? What type of benefits can you tell me about your company culture? So company culture, these type of questions usually go hand in hand with HR. Individuals that are going to interview you. Here, you're going to be speaking specifically with the sales director, sales manager, marketing manager, C-level, or founders and owners, right? And again, you're being hired as a contractor. So that means you don't have PTOs. Have I seen companies offer this to have a competitive offering? For sure, 100%. I'm noticing that companies are doing this more. But again, at the end of the day, as contractors, we don't have all of these benefits. So it doesn't really make sense using that up as one of your impacting questions. So again, think about curiosity, think about questions that are going to showcase that you know what you're talking about, right? That you're more of a consultant instead of someone that they're going to hire. You're going to have to provide me with a list. I'm going to reach out to these people and that's it. So that's also something that's standing out. If you're coming across as a consultant instead of, just a freelancer or a remote worker, that's a lot more powerful. And I think Solomon did that very well. He came across a lot more consultative than he did as just a, traditional entry-level remote worker. What else should we keep in mind, guys? We got impacting questions down, right? At the end of the day, this is just a recommendation. If you guys are interviewing with other companies, your urgency, what type of bills you have to pay, what we have to do as adults in this world. So as far as urgency, you guys, I rarely hear you guys mention like, hey, I really like what you guys do. Are there any next steps? Is there any type of assignment, right? Showing them that if they don't move quickly, you're going to choose another company, right? So are there any next steps? I really like what you guys do, Jacob. I love what Flash Intel has to offer. Now, I want to be honest, I am in other interview processes and I'm trying to make my best decision by Friday, so should I expect, a second round interview? Again, shows some confidence and you're putting them, on that urgency plate. So either they did like what they saw in the interview and they will be moving forward quickly. If not, they'll be losing you. So make sure that you guys create that urgency. Again, if you are indeed looking and interviewing elsewhere, right? So those are a few do's. Let's move on to some don'ts. So don't reschedule an hour before the interview. If it's an emergency, you just had a car accident, your child just fell there. I understand. I have 3 kids as well. So there's emergencies, right? But at the end of the day, you're the one that knows how urgent it is for you to get a job. And that starts with interviews, right? So I have seen a lot of people miss interviews just because, they don't have their calendar synced. They messed up on the time zones, right? So use the team. If you feel that you're not sure what time the interview's for, make sure you reach out to Arturo, Blue, or myself, anyone at the CloudTask team, and we'll help you out. But don't reschedule. Don't no-show. If you don't show up, it's probably 99% chance you're not going to get a reschedule, right? Don't reschedule an hour before. If you do have to reschedule, 2 to 3 hours would be a lot more beneficial, right? Another thing that you guys shouldn't do, don't keep your camera off. This is a remote job, but nonetheless, you want to give that personal vibe, right? So make sure you guys turn on that camera. If there's some issues with your camera right now, if you guys were to get off of, off of this camera, I'll have to grab my phone and try and connect from my phone. So be resourceful, keep the camera on, connect on your phone, do what you have to do, but you need that camera on those interviews, right? And then at the end of the day, make sure that you guys have a good answer. If someone asks you, what does that comp look like? It shouldn't come across like, hey, yeah, can you pay me $2,000 just because? There should be a reason, right? Hey, currently I'm making $3,000. I'm generating XYZ for this company. And right now, in order for me to move from this position, I would need X. Okay. Came across a little bit more confidently and you're giving me some numbers, right? You're currently making X, you're generating X. All right, this is a good baseline. Some of you guys are just throwing a number. Make sure you guys just don't say a number, but say the reason why you're in that range. All right. So those would be a few don'ts. I would say that's it, guys. We have our QA session, but I believe we don't have any questions as of now. So I'll just take this last minute to let you guys know about our referral program. So if you guys are currently in the marketplace looking for a job, great. If you want to passively make some money, right, you could definitely become an affiliate where you can earn $100 for each referral that creates a profile and gets hired, right? They need to get hired, right? So let's say the more the merrier. If you guys are referring 100, 10%, we have 10 people that got hired, right? That's $1,000. So you guys can definitely be making some passive money. And again, that's on the candidate side. If there's hiring companies interested in hiring, and you bring them over to the marketplace, there's also a commission structure. But I'll let Dave Manjura share that with you guys, and that's it. Remember, we have a referral program. Even if you don't speak English, you could still make $100, right, by referring individuals that are currently looking for remote work and speak English. All right, guys. So we'll see you on our next Wednesday Skillbridge. Have a great rest of the week.